I was raised in a Christian family. I was baptized at a Presbyterian church as a baby and later confirmed as a young teenager. But all that was done out of tradition, expectation. I never truly believed. When I grew to be independent, around 17 years old, I just stopped going to church altogether. My name is Grant Burrell, and I've just recently came to Christ. I'm a very analytical individual, and since then, I based everything I believed off of philosophy or logic or reasoning, and I just sought purposeness through that. The problem with logic is you can only go so far up the ladder before you're completely stopped by unknowns. I was able to deduce the existence of a God through arguments such as the cosmological argument, but I wasn't able to figure out if that God was a deist God, one that simply just created the universe, left it at that. We're no important than a speck of dust, or a loving God, like the one that I came to find. And I was torn between those two possibilities for probably around 3 years, and it just left me frustrated that I couldn't find the answer to why I'm here. Quite frankly, it just left me lost. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 21 states, "For since in the wisdom of God, the world did not know God through wisdom, it pleased God through the folly of what we preach, to save those who believe." I sought God through wisdom and was unable to find him. Then, on December 12th, 2020, at my brother's wedding, through Pastor Mike's wedding sermon and just the charisma, the goodness, and just the sense of purposeness in the other Christians present, Christ just used that to instill a desire in my heart to follow him. It was the first time in my life that I knew something that I couldn't explain. I told my older brother about this new desire within me, and I went over to his place just to talk about it. And a conversation that I thought would last a half an hour lasted for 4 hours. And we just delved into scripture, what it meant to be a Christian, what it meant to be baptized. And what resonated with me most was Romans chapter 8, verse 29 through 30, which states, "For those whom you foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. And those whom he predestined, he also called. And those whom he called, he also justified. And those whom he justified, he also glorified." This resonated with me most because the abrupt compulsion to let Christ in my heart was totally out of the blue. I've been lost for so long. Why now? Why so strong? The feeling was unnatural, unearthly, and enlightened that the desire in my heart to follow him was not of my making, but of his, made perfect sense, and just strongly affirmed my newfound faith. After that whole discussion with my brother, I wanted to get baptized and obey God as soon as possible. And on January 24th, I was baptized. And since then, I've had so many questions. But my brothers and my sisters here have always been there for me to answer everything on my mind. And it's really helped me get a grip on my faith. After finding God, everything's changed. Just how I perceive the world and what I do with my time. There's so many resources here that are such a blessing, like the C20s that I go to, just to fellowship with people my age, 2 men's Bible studies. Yeah, ever since I found God, my whole entire life changed. How I think of things, just my perspective. For the first time in my life, I have a purpose. I have a direction. And it is such a blessing. 3 months ago, I was lost. But now I'm found. I have a purpose. I know my purpose. I know why I'm here. And that's to glorify God.